Well, hello, everybody. Welcome in once again to another Get to Know the Royals right here on the Queen Sports Network. As always, I'm Mike Glennon. Today, let's talk a little basketball as I am joined by women's assistant coach and Mr. Andre Gibbs. And Coach Gibbs, thanks so much for joining us. I know you were coming off a busy last couple of weeks, of course, just getting married, celebrating a birthday. First off, congratulations for all
Thank
of
you.
that. And I know it's got to be an exciting time for you.
Yes, thank you, Mike. Thank you for having me. Thank you
Sure.
for readjusting your schedule to make this work. Very hectic past 2 weeks from kids camp to recruiting, and then I
Mm.
work from home from PA, and then got ready to get married and having a honeymoon. So it's been a very, very hectic past 2 weeks, but I loved every bit of it.
I was going to say busy but fun, you know,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
as someone who got married just over a little bit, almost a year ago myself, I know how all that goes. And, you'd mentioned something to me just to talk a little bit about kind of obviously your new bride and all. You had the unique experience of being able to work a camp with her, obviously one of your final basketball camps you guys had. What was that experience like? How much does that mean to you guys, not just as coaches, but of course as a couple as well?
Yeah, so that was a fabulous experience. One, I'm thankful for Coach Brown allowing me to do that. But my wife, Jessica, so she played basketball. She played at the D3 level. She's a first grade teacher, so she's phenomenal with kids camp. So
Sure.
I'm trying to tap into some of her patience on a daily basis when it comes to kids camp. So it was awesome just having her there, having our players kind of get to meet her. So she's phenomenal. And then she has basketball background, so it was a perfect fit.
Awesome. Well, you talked about it. I mean, you are, of course, a heck of a player yourself, as you were a standout at Philadelphia University, where you played in actually for a Naismith Hall of Famer in Herb McGhee. And I know that's, now that you're a coach, I'm sure you look back at some of the lessons that he was trying to teach you, and you might have been a little bit of stubborn against, but of course, now I'm sure you use a lot of that coaching prowess in your own career.
Yeah, absolutely. So just being a point guard under the Hall of Fame coach Herb McGhee, it was monumental for just developing my basketball mind and
Mm.
basketball acumen. So I was underneath his wings for 5 years. 1 year as a red shirt. So watching film together. 1 year is funny. We had like over 40 plays from sideline out of bounds to baseline out of bounds. So just knowing when the call plays and just
Sure.
being that coach on the basketball court as a point guard, it just really helped develop me as a player, and I think it helped my transition as a coach as well.
Well, I know you guys had 91 wins across your career, 1,300 point scorer, 350 assists. I mean, let me ask you this. Obviously, some great tutelage, of course, with a coach like that. But what drew you to the game of basketball, and what was it about that you just loved and felt like you excelled at?
Yeah, that's a great question. Honestly, I'm a part of a basketball family.
Mm.
So my father played at University of South Carolina. My brother played high school, college, won 2 state championships in high school. So it was just kind of like an Andre, you're next up, kind of thing.
Fair
And
enough.
I got pretty lucky, man. I was fairly decent player coming into high school, and I think that's kind of where my career kind of excelled from there. And um, it's kind of just a basketball family, and just kind of just following my dad's
Sure.
footsteps.
Well, I'm sure there's a little bit of sibling rivalry that's thrown in
Of
there at some
course.
point. Yeah, yeah, but that kind of family atmosphere is people. You're around a family that has always been around the game of basketball. Then that's kind of a unique experience. Sometimes you can be the only person in your family that's played, but what was it like growing up in that atmosphere and kind of I imagine you have a little bit different and deeper appreciation possibly for the game of basketball than maybe some that have just played it for a few years.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would say just like watching my dad as like super young, just
Mhm.
watching him like adult leagues, watching my
Sure.
brother kind of grow up and play. So I think one of the things that it did for me is just developed a high level of competitiveness.
Okay.
Right? It's funny because obviously they were at my wedding and like we were playing pool and like it's just so
Sure.
competitive.
Sure.
So I just think that's one of the things that they just kind of instilled in me is just kind of win everything, right? And like
Yeah.
if you
Hey.
don't win, we're gonna talk junk and you're gonna hear about it. So I think that's one of the things that I'm really appreciative of, and just having their support and just knowing what it's like to be a student athlete. So
Sure.
when I had some obstacles, they were right there in my corner and they were able to give me some good advice.
I was gonna say you get the ribbing, you get the competitive, but at the same time, you also have that bit of a safety net as well of people that have been through the game, understand what it's like to be a student athlete, and then of course on into the coaching side of things as well. Before you came to Queens, you spent a year as a volunteer at Bryn Mawr College. What made you want to be a coach? Why did you choose this aspect over anything else?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And prior to being a volunteer coach at Bryn Mawr, I was in the business world as an accountant for 4 years.
Okay.
So a funny story, my wife was an assistant coach at Bryn Mawr, and
Okay.
they were short-staffed. So they needed some help, and I just kind of just lended my hand. And I was doing everything from skill development to ordering pizza to watching film. So it was just a great opportunity to see how I liked it. I knew I always wanted to give back to the basketball world. I just didn't know what that looked like. So volunteer experience was phenomenal. And I think that kind of just made me want to tackle coaching sooner than I expected. I would say two people really made me want to be coaches, and that's Herb McGhee, and that's also his assistant, Coach Jimmy Riley. So two of my mentors. They changed my life from the first day I stepped on campus, and I always want to pay that forward to student athletes, whether it's men or women. So that's kind of why I wanted to coach.
Well, and you're talking about coaching, and of course, coaching you're the assistant coach for the women's program under head coach Jen Brown, going to be her second season as well. And I got to be honest with you, man, I don't know if there's another program I'm more excited for in terms of coming up this season to just watch the sheer turnaround of what I think you guys are going to do with this program. Now that you have a year under your belts, in terms of, like you said, whole bunch of recruiting going on, and just, having that preseason, having that ability to be able to get together as a team and kind of understand the chemistry before having to step foot on the court. What's the excitement right now? What's the feeling right now as you guys are heading into the school year?
That's a great question, Mike. I would say just taking it one day at a time.
Sure.
Coach Brown did a fantastic job of kind of just making sure we put the work in this summer. This summer was huge for us. We had about 60% of our young ladies on campus, taking summer classes. We were able to get some hands-on skill work with them. And I think more importantly, they were able to spend time with each other, right? Because we didn't get to do that last year.
No.
So Coach Brown really did a great job of just being extremely hands-on on and off the basketball court. She had lunch dates with them. I had lunch dates with a few of them, just getting to know them even more because we missed out on that last year. So I think I'll speak for myself. We're extremely excited for what we can become. But I think as of right now, we're just taking it one day at a time. It sounds cliche, but just getting 1% better each and every day, man.
Well, it's not cliche. It's just a matter of you don't want to get overwhelmed. I mean, again, you guys have all the talent in the world, and you have all these aspirations and hopes and dreams of what you want to do with this program. But you can't get ahead of yourself. You got to see what happens, and it all starts with, of course, practice. And as you said, getting these young ladies to be able to talk and understand one another on a human level, not just on the basketball court. And and I know they get their own little taste of coaching with all these kids camps that you guys do, and you also have prospect camps throughout the summer as well. But can you talk a little bit about what you like for them to learn from helping these campers out? And of course, that helps bond them together as coaches and, of course, as players heading into the season as well.
Yeah, I think one of the things of having them work kids camp and also our elite camps is the art of communication, right? And the art of knowing how to communicate differently to different individuals. And I think that's going to help them on the basketball court, and just kind of being leaders and being willing to speak up. And I think one of the things that Coach Brown is huge on is being a good human being. So just kind of being the camp director, I like to empower our young ladies to demand that our campers are being good human beings, right?
Sure.
If they're throwing out a piece of trash and they missed it, tell them to pick it up, right?
Sure.
So just be great human beings. And I get that from Coach Brown. And I think just kind of watching our young ladies kind of mentor the younger campers has been monumental for their maturity, their growth, and also just experiencing that together, right?
Yeah.
Because for me, when I was in college, I didn't go home at all during the summertime. So I spent a lot of time with my teammates, my brothers, just learning how to cook, like,
Sure.
all that fun
Life
stuff,
skills.
life skills, right? And I think they're going through that now, which is phenomenal.
Well, and you mentioned Coach Brown and kind of that just be a good human being. And that's one thing that's definitely stood out to me in terms of understanding her. And of course, your team culture as well is indeed about being a good human being and just putting your best foot forward. And, can you talk a little bit about working with her and what she's like as not just a head coach, but of course, as a person herself and what you've learned thus far and, of course, are excited about learning more of as you guys continue on?
Yeah, no, she's phenomenal in all aspects, and I truly believe that. For me, just being a young coach, I couldn't have hit the jackpot better just to kind of have her as my manager, as my boss, because she has so much knowledge to share. Right, spending
Hmm.
12 years at the Division I level, from Colgate to JMU to most recently Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
So she fields all of my questions if I ask a lot of them. So she's phenomenal. Just her management style of being patient, allowing me to be hands-on in different aspects of our program.
Yeah.
I am extremely grateful for that.
Well, and that's the thing. I'm sure as a coach, she's okay with you asking questions because it means you're constantly wanting to understand more, learn more, and obviously be a better coach yourself. So, I got to ask, what brought you here to Queens? How'd you get connected with Coach Brown, and what landed you ultimately here in Charlotte? I know you're originally from the Northeast, as am I, and
Yeah,
everybody has their own unique story. But what landed you here in Charlotte?
that's a great question. So, funny story. Me and my wife, we bought a house in Philadelphia.
Okay,
And then each year we go on vacation. So we
sure.
decided to go to Charlotte for vacation. And like 2 days into being in Charlotte, she gave me this look. And like, I knew what that look meant. I'm like, not gonna happen. We just bought a house, not gonna happen.
Yeah,
Right. So
don't
fast
even
forward,
think about it.
don't even think about it,
Yeah.
right? So fast forward, next year, I'm like, hey, where do you want to go for vacation? She said Charlotte again. I'm like, uh-oh. So 2 days into vacation, she gives me the same look. We pack up the house, we sell the house, and we
Hey,
move to Charlotte, like just like that. And
sometimes you got to take that leap, my friend. Sometimes you just got to
exactly,
take it.
yeah. So we took the leap of faith, just like you said, and I put myself out there, and I was able to get connected with Coach Brown through some mutual friends in the coaching industry,
Mm.
and having some good references, and the rest is history.
Well, and that speaks very highly of you because again, you're a volunteer assistant at Bryn Mawr, and then before that, you mentioned you were an accountant you were working in accounting for 4 years, but very early on now in your coaching, your coaching career, now you're at a very good Division II school under someone like you mentioned that has 12 plus years at the Division I level, and so as a coach, that's gotta give you a little bit of a sense of pride and of course a little bit of a goal to want to show why you're here, correct?
Yeah, I say absolutely. But it's just my nature. I put my head down and I just work hard. I've been like that since high school playing basketball. So
Sure.
I think that's just kind of in a way that relates to me and Coach Brown because we're extremely hard
Mhm.
workers. We're gonna outwork you. We're gonna outgrind you. And that's just kind of what we like to do. And then I think coming to Queens, it's phenomenal because Queens is very relatable to Philadelphia University
Yeah.
in the aspect of it's a small school in a big
Mhm.
city. So I think for me, it's kind of meant to be. I enjoy kind of talking about my experience with recruits, with our young ladies,
Sure.
because it allows me to relate to them a little bit better.
Well, and I know you and I have had that discussion before in terms of I went to Lemoyne College, a very similar school to Queens in terms of sidewise and Division II. And, it just seems to me, and it's nothing to knock any Division I school, Division I athlete, nothing, but there's just that little extra sense of pride and just wanting to be here on this court and not necessarily thinking about that next level, thinking about being here and just being a good student athlete while you're here. I mean, that's something that you don't find at other levels of the NCAA other than Division II.
Yeah, no, Mike, I couldn't agree with you more. It's funny because we chatted about this. Like when you come from the NA10, you
Hmm.
come from the SAC. Like these conferences are phenomenal,
Yeah,
and they're extremely exceptional. Um, and it's a high level of expertise that's expected.
sure.
Because playing in the CACC, like the NE10 was no joke.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
from that's across a lot of sports, right? Not
Yeah.
just basketball. You play baseball, so I think like just being a part of that and being able to kind of experience Division II across different conferences has been able to help me a lot.
Well, and that's the thing, the talent is spread so deep now, and it used to be kind of, there was always that mantra of, oh, Division II. Well, it ain't that way anymore. In fact, sometimes in some sports, the athletic ability is actually better than the Division I, ability. So at the same time, it's so cool to hear it from someone who had played the Division II level, and now you're on the other side of that, and the other side of the coin as a coach at the Division II level, and in a program that, like I said, is bound for one unbelievable turnaround, and of course getting to new and bigger heights than they ever were before. And that all starts with you guys as coaches, and of course preaching that culture and trickling it on down to the players. So let's take a look at the upcoming season. I know one day at a time, but I wouldn't be a broadcaster if I didn't kind of speculate forward here. So indulge me if you will. Looking at this team, you guys added a few new key pieces in, from whether it was transfers, of course, your recruits of your own. And that's the other thing. This is now the first real chance you've had to go out and recruit your own first class. So, what is it, you guys, in terms of what were your goals going into this season recruiting wise, and kind of what are your goals heading into this year as a team?
Yeah, so from a recruiting perspective, first and foremost is just recruit good human beings, recruit high character kids. Coach Brown tells me that on a weekly basis.
Sure.
And also recruit kids who are going to compete every day.
Mm.
And I think we did a good job from the coaching staff last year. Did a good job of just recruiting kids that are going to compete every single day. And I think that's going to help us next year a lot. We're bringing in 4 freshmen, bringing in a JUCO All-American, bringing in a Division I transfer. So on paper, we look really good.
Sure.
So it's just like you said, you never know until the first practice. So
Of
I
course.
think this summer has been huge for us, and we're just taking it one day at a time.
You got to get those icebreakers when you can get it. You know what I mean? In
Yeah.
terms of just understanding who you are. Cause that's the thing. You can be good players on the court, and sometimes you have the ability to mesh on the court and maybe not off the court, but that's not always, that's a very rare situation. So to have them kind of bring that sisterhood into it and then go on to the court with that, that's just going to make this team that much more special. And of course, we're excited to see you guys coming up this year. So Coach, I appreciate you taking some time, sitting down and talking with us. And of course, we will touch base with you again as things start to progress further and further and heading in towards the season. Cannot wait to talk. But you mentioned Coach Brown and this team's ability to just not wanting to give up, and they just want to be good players, and they're hardworking players. That was one of the first things she had ever said to me on a broadcast after the Lenore-Rhine game, the final game of the season, regular season that is, here at home. She said, the one thing about this team, I don't care what the record reflects, we do not give up. We don't stop playing. And it sounds like that's what you guys are trying to ingrain in these young ladies.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Just putting to work every single day, and it's going to pay off.
All right, Coach. Well, I appreciate you joining us. And again, congratulations on the nuptials. And of course, a belated happy birthday, but a whole new life for you going into this season.
Absolutely. Mike, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. All right, that'll do it here for another Get to Know the Royals. As always, make sure you click that like and subscribe button right down there at the bottom and get all the freshest content here from the Queen Sports Network. We got a whole lot more coming your way as the seasons progress. And make sure you check queensathletics.com. For Coach Andre Gibbs, I'm Mike Glennon. Enjoy the rest of your day. And as always, go Royals.
Yeah.